that we are live everywhere where we are meant to be live. And that everything is working fine. Those who are joining me, if you could just please do me the favor of just letting me know if you can hear me and that my sound is fine. There's been days, man. There's been days where I've been speaking and I've been going off and I've been ranting, and it turns out my sound is off. So those who are joining me now, please just let me know that you can hear me. I am a little bit blind right now. I'm flying a little bit blind right now. I don't have my other phone with me that is currently playing YouTube in another room. But please, if you can just tell me that you can hear me, that would be great. If you could just let me know there. Okay, let me just... Yay, what a spirited conversation we had today. For those who missed out on today's conversation, we spoke about the national team, Hugo Bruce and all those things. And now I want to speak about the PSL and these PSL players. There's a topic there that is something that was said by John Obi Mikel. And John Obi Mikel said these things, and I want to hear from you if you believe in what he's saying and if it makes sense for you, what he is saying. But I'm just going to go ahead then and start the show. Then we'll fall in line as we go along. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mukwena. I am your host. I do this show every Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon. And then also Monday to Wednesday. We're back at 8 p.m. Having some of the best footballing conversations here on TikTok. If you want to watch anything back or you want to hear any of the other conversations we've had on this show, they are available on Facebook and on YouTube in full. TikTok account is Overthinking Football. The TikTok, the Facebook account is also Overthinking Football, and then the YouTube account is the Overthinking Football Show. They are available there in full. If you watched the show before and you're wondering how do you jump on one of the panels? How do you get on a panel and we discuss some of the stuff and you add your voice to the show? Well, you have to be following the TikTok account. Join me while I'm on TikTok, live on TikTok, and then there will come a time where I'll tell you that I'm opening up the lines. And at the bottom of your screen, there'll be a button that says multi-guest. Click on that button, request, and I can let you in, and we'll have a conversation about whatever it is we're speaking about that day, and you'll be able to add your voice live to the show. So I want to start this off by reading an article. This is the article that I want to base this conversation off of. John Obi Mikel was in the country with the Europa League trophy. They were launching the Europa League, and they asked him a couple of things as to why South African players don't go overseas and players come back to the PSL. So this is what Mikel has to say. Mikel believes this is because of the competitiveness of the PSL. I think it's not the mentality. I think it's your organization. The organization is better than ours, Mikel told the media during UEFA Europa League trophy tour in Johannesburg yesterday. If you look at our league, if you look at your league, it's that good that a player doesn't have to go abroad to make ends meet. Your league is way more organized than other leagues. So that's better than we Nigerians have been crying about. We want to see our league better. We know we can do that. Because we have so much talent, we want to grow our league. We want to improve the standard of our league and the facilities for these players to grow. These children want to be inspired to play in the English Premier League. You have to create an environment where they feel comfortable to improve, and that's something you guys have, and I think that's pretty much the difference. This is what John Obi Mikel had to say about the PSL. So essentially, he's saying that the reason why your players don't necessarily want to go overseas and also don't necessarily stay overseas once they're there is because the PSL is of such a high standard in terms of the organization that they can make ends meet in the country, and they don't necessarily have to dream about going overseas, unlike them who maybe don't have the facilities, don't have the organization, and they have to go find that in Europe very young. And this sparked a very interesting conversation in the Overthinking Football WhatsApp group where we spoke about why do players not want to go overseas? Why aren't we seeing a lot of them going? And also, once they get overseas, they all come back. You know, Abu Toli came back, Abu Parker came back, Abu Zungu came back. Why is it that our players struggle that much? And John Obi Mikel is saying that, you know what, guys, it's because you need to you need to go overseas when you're from certain countries. So I'm gonna open up the lines and let's have this conversation about whether it makes sense. What John Obi Mikel is saying about the PSL, about the league. So feel free to request and jump in. Now, Leander, welcome back, man. Welcome back. It's so nice to see that you're an avid watcher, my guy. You're always coming back to watch. It's great to see. Thank you for the support, my guy. Let's see. You see now, if people don't jump in, I'm gonna bring in the usuals then, and we'll go from there. Agent, how are you, my brother?
Usual suspects.
Usual suspects.
There used to be a series back in my days. We didn't call them series, we called them soaps. It was called The Usual Suspect. And there was a character called Kaizer Suzanne, Mark my amber. Those were the days.
Tell me, what do you think about this conversation? Is the PSL that good and comfortable that players just don't want to go over?
Yeah, I think I was about to ask you before you explained. Like, I want to repeat in this conversation, but now it makes sense.
We had it in the group, yeah.
Yeah. But I think let's look at England,
Okay.
how many players are going out of England? Just never mind the fact that it's the biggest league, it's just that they feel they earn enough. They don't have to go overseas in England, And you look at the Brazilians. Most Brazilians which come to Europe are from what they call the favelas, which is the poor side of Brazil, So I understand, and I think to a certain extent I agree with Obi Mikel that guys, if I'm earning R1 million, like Odoli, why should I leave SA? I'm making ends meet. At the end of the day, in as much as we can argue and say football is entertainment, football is this, football is that, to a player, first and foremost, football is a way of earning income, And as a person who's lived in diaspora before, I can tell you that it's expensive because when you're living in a foreign land, you either have to rent a house. While you're renting, you have to try and buy a house or build a house back home. So your income gets split. You have to buy food there, buy food for your house back home. Send money like this. Like your salary literally gets split. So compared to when you are here, everything can be shared. Everything is fine. So I understand it, and I think it makes sense. The only people who maybe if you want to go abroad, I have an ambition, I have an ambition to go abroad, not that I need to go abroad. It's a want. There's a difference between want and need. This one is a want. I want to go abroad. I don't need to go abroad with South Africans. So yeah.
Okay. Let me bring in Small Credit Solution. How are you? Okay, I think Small Credit Solution is having a bit of a problem. Senzo, how are you doing? Hey, man. Okay, let's see. I think he's back. What do you think about this conversation? As to what John Obi Mikel has said, with the PSL, man, you get to sit there. You don't have to do a lot. Whereas Bona, they need to go to Europe. How do you feel about that conversation? Mboni network is buzzing. Try coming back. Small Credit Solution. Senzo, how are you doing, my brother?
I'm good in ULT, and what's up to Agent and everyone watching right now?
No. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. What do you think of these words that have been said by John Obi Mikel? Do you think that is part of the reason or a big reason why our players aren't going overseas?
True, I think to a certain extent, yes, but I feel like it also contradicts because if you want to have the best, you need to have the best facilities. So, yeah, I hear him when he says that, but you want to build a good team, so you want to take advantage of everything you can. And fortunately, South African players have the best facilities. So we can say that more than anything, I think it's the ambition. You know, I don't think PSL players want that type of recognition because you see with the way not even our overseas players get signed, the teams they sign for, but also the local players. Like local players don't look for their career; they look for the next payday, and which is it's beneficial in one aspect that you take your family out of poverty, but the thing it's the longevity. You know, a lot of players shine for 2 seasons and then they disappear, and when they disappear, it's a thing of "Uzibani banophelele kuphi," you know, and they went to the biggest team like Sundowns, you know. Examples, the Zulu boy that was signed by I think Lamasia in the NFD. Um, that guy was playing for Swallow. It was Sundowns, and he was pipped as the next best right back to ever come out of South Africa. 2 seasons and he was gone. And it's that thing. We have so many players that go to big teams like Kaizer Chiefs or Pirates. Look at Kapinga. He was the hottest property ever, but where is he now? He's not playing. You know. So it's that thing, the ambition. I feel like a lot of our players are steered in the wrong direction, and they want to reap their rewards too soon, you know, versus international players where you'll find a player doesn't mind going on loan. Look at that boy, Xavi Simons. He's been rejected by Barcelona, went to PSG, went from PSG, and now he's looked at as one of the best midfielders ever, you know. So sometimes it's best to take the long route in respect of your career and longevity of it.
I want to go to Agent. Agent, I want to speak about that. How much of it is also that maybe our players, one, they don't get found early enough. So by the time they get found and they're going overseas, it's a grown man, one. And then number two, is that also this road, man? You know you're not going to go to the EPL straight, and you know that you may have to go play in Belgium and then jump to France and then go to Holland and then maybe you'll get a look into the EPL. How much of it is that maybe the road, they don't want to play that road game, that long game?
I think you are hitting the nail on the coffin there, and I think I want to ask Brasenzo there that ambition for who? Ambition for us? Ambition for them? You know? And as a case of me, let's say Brasenzo is a doctor, you know? I'm sure he dreams of maybe the American dream, you know, but do you need to go to America, or even if you are here, you can survive, you can survive, you can, how you can, your family, you can provide for your family, you know? So I think we should also see football also as a job, you know? So that when you question the ambitions, we question them saying, but why aren't you going to America? You know, to go and become a doctor there, you know? There's one of those things. And again, a youngster, you know, is a 25-year-old, you know, and you think of, hey, if I'm 26, I need to travel the world just to go to Europe. When am I going to start a family? You know, when am I going to build my life? You know? So it's a difficult journey, and I understand it, you know, and I think, look at Uzwani. Uzwani is a class, but when did we discover Uzwani? You know, and at that age, could he go to Europe? You know, look at Moda. How old is Moda now? You know, so it's a case of, it's difficult to break in, and I think the older you get, the more less willingly you're going to go outside. And I think it also goes back to agents, you know, and scouts, that if we see a player is good, why not take Umufike to a League 2 club, you know, in France, in FD there, and then they'll notice him there, that side, you know. But with us, it's like we want Umufike to go from Paris to Wolves, you know, and that's difficult. And that's the mentality that most players have, but they don't take the risk of going to NFD. Like Lyle Foster went to what is the championship and got promoted with Burnley. I think that's going to go. So yeah.
But then on the other hand, we speaking about them as if they're turning down these opportunities. How come they're then not lighting it up in the league then? Why aren't they like, performing co-leaguing? I mean, I can understand, for example, for Dr. Kumalo, who are very, very, very good players, and then they kept turning down the opportunities to go overseas. But our players, you watch the quality of the actual league and the football, I understand maybe they don't want to go overseas, but then, at home, man, perform, mahe.
I think it goes back to the quality, you know. Look at, let's say, Modau, because he's the hottest property right now. Modau at Black Leopards was just a Valerina High or Cats and who went to a public school, you know. And he goes to Sundowns, then he ups his game, you know. So I think is the reflection of the PSL. I think if Omodao goes to Europe, he's going to up his game also. You know, I think when Lyle Foster is around, you can see the difference between him and Evidence Makopa or Lepasa. You know,
Okay.
you can see that quality there. You know, so yeah, but
Okay.
again, also the thing is, here's the thing again. Do we have a conveyor belt? The most important thing is a conveyor belt. You know, look at Brazil. Brazil is always producing something over something over something over something, such that now teams are saying, "Hey, looks like when we catch those guys when they're old, we pay more, so that they're getting 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds, you know, and they can afford to take that risk and say, I think Hendricks would end up being a Neymar. You know, they can afford that risk." You go to East Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Mali, those countries, you know what you're getting from those countries because there is a blueprint. There's always a Mikel, now there's Osimhen, it's players like that, JJ Okocha, like there's always that conveyor belt. But with South Africa, we have had, who was that? Benny, and then Pinar, and then maybe the forgotten superstar. What does that guy went to Ajax Amsterdam? Tulan Serrero.
Yeah, Serrero, Bartlett,
Yeah.
Fortune.
You see, and then after that, we now have Lyle Foster. You know, we almost had it out, but then we have Lyle Foster. And after Lyle Foster, we're gonna wait another 5 years and have another person. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
as a team, can you say there is football players in Mzansi that I can risk a 19-year-old Mufukeng? You know, so yeah, I think that's not the
Okay.
issue also.
Senzo, is it the road? Is it that to get to the EPL, it's gonna take you? Look at Percy. It took him 4 years after he had been signed by that team to go play, and by the time he was gonna play, he's a bit older. Do some of these players, especially the star players in the league, who are a bit older, as we know, they mature older here? Is it part of the problem that, man, it's too much work, man?
I don't believe it's too much work. I feel like we, as a country, we rely too much on experience, and that's why you find a lot of our PSL teams have players playing from 30-year-olds, 34-year-olds, even look down into the NFD, and which in a way is destroying our football. We break players too early. You know, you think of players like Mfukeng at Pirates already is a top quality player. That boy should be starting day in, day out. Mdu Shabalala at his age should be starting day in, day out. Zwane should be starting. Mashiane, I can name a lot of players. Mkulisi at he should be starting at age, but we tend to preserve them too much. Just like with Zwane, he was preserved too much. I feel like he should have been let to play a bit earlier to show his skill. But in South Africa, we have a culture of always getting old players because we rely on experience and you don't want to take the risk. You look
Yeah.
at players, teams that take the risk, or coaches that take the risk, like Stellenbosch, Cape Town City, they have benefits. They have benefits of that, you know. So I feel like with our coaches, if they could, even the development teams, we shouldn't be having reserves where we're talking about 23-year-olds. You know, the 23-year-olds should be ones in the starting lineup. You know, they're the ones that should be starting the game. You know, it's beautiful to see what Bafana's doing, like with the young age group. But then you think you go, where are those guys playing? And that's why I come back with ambition is why leave Sundowns, which is the African champions, which they playing every third game, a high competition to go play in America because of money. You look at Cassius Mailula, he could have been an African champion now. He could be maybe top scorer. Sundowns maybe might have not need to buy Ribeiro. So you look at ambition. Bloom now we were talking about it earlier about Bloom saying Angiko right. It's because the ambition is gone. How do you not want to represent your national team? Where's that ambition? Where's that thing which I want to be a world champion? You look at the French national team. All of them are young. All of them are not in their 30s. None of them are in their 30s, but they're playing World Cup after World Cup after World Cup after World Cup. So ambition needs to start from a young age. It needs to be also built into the culture of we can do it because we've done it. We have players that have shown that they have the hunger. Look at Steven Pienaar. Pienaar played all over Europe and landed at the top, even at an old age group. Steven Pienaar was still playing. Benny McCarthy was still playing. Sean Bartlett was still playing. Quentin Fortune was still playing at a very old age. So we need to send our boys earlier. Mfukeng shouldn't be trialing at Wolves. He should be signed by Wolves.
Okay.
That's
But then,
the thing I think.
but then I want to ask you the other question that if what John Obi Mikel is saying here is true, why then are they not becoming stars here? Why aren't we seeing great performances? And fine, a player will turn down a deal, but why aren't we seeing them, go hard this time over here, especially the older ones? If it is a situation that they're not going to go overseas because of the time and effort.
I don't know what it is, but there's this thing where they say your environment makes you who you are.
Yeah.
Mediocrity, even if you're a talented person, if you're around mediocre people, you become mediocre. I feel that's the standard of our league. Even Sundowns, the reason Sundowns keeps performing at such a high level is because they're always competing at a high level. They've played Al Ahly in the last 2 years, 4 times. That's the best team in Africa. They've played Whitehead almost twice in the last 2
Last
years.
6 months even.
In the last 6
Well,
months.
4 times in the last 6 months.
They're always playing high level competition. So that's why when they come to our league, they don't even need to play the amount of games that we have played and still be leading in points because they are playing high level. So the more we allow mediocrity in our league and signing, recycling players, recycling coaches, not trusting making youngsters go to NFD with you're destroying that, letting people sit too long. You think of Kulisi. I think Kulisi is one of the best midfielders South Africa has produced. But you'll never see that. We're not seeing that. This should be his prime. You look at Biavuma. Biavuma, this was his chance to show. Why bring Kune back? Why not bring Biavuma to go shine, go take over? That's the thing. We like to tend to for the youngsters to, shine.
Okay. Let me bring in Kuma. Kuma, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm greeting yourself.
No, I'm good, Kumo. Here are some comments made by Utonobe Bikel saying that, it's nice go PSL, and the reason why you're not seeing people going overseas is that they can make ends meet in the PSL, unlike them where they need to go overseas in order to go make ends meet. Do you buy what John Obi Bikel is saying? And then secondly, is part of the reason why people don't go overseas this time because by the time we have verified that this is a talent, Mutunali 25, 26.
But you know what, Ned, that says a lot about our league. Our league, it's fine. I agree we watch the league every day and want to compare to the EPL. But other people appreciate what we have. We've got the infrastructure, the organization, the good work that the Kaizer, Motsepes, and the Mutawus of this world are doing. Our league is fine. So, the only thing that I would say that's wrong about our league, in Europe, for instance, there's only top five leagues that are really important. It's Europe, Bundesliga, Spain, Italian, and then sometimes it's the Portuguese or the
The
French.
German,
But
yeah.
even those German ones and the PSG and the and League are they really better than the PSL? If not for if not for the Champions League, it can have, and also their currency is gonna make it much more attractive for African players to go there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, you can't come here and say a league in Romania is better than the PSL. I'm just, things like that. So I understand what he's saying, and like it says we should appreciate what we have, ne? And also our other follow is that our league is not exposed to a lot of people. John Obi Mikel is from Africa, so of course he's gonna have an interest and see who has the best league. Take Egyptian players. How many Egyptian players are playing in those top clubs at the moment right now? Because they've produced. They've got Al Ahly and Zamalek. Ne? How many are they playing in that league? I get we comparing apples to apples.
Uteng El Nen.
Yeah, Amara, there's Salah and who else playing in those top leagues?
It used to be Bozdigan. I'm not sure now.
Oh, exactly. And our PSL makes it so conducive that players don't have to go overseas to go there. And happy you forget those Nigerians, ne, are very cosmopolitan nation. They're always going around the world to look for opportunities. Sure, if they had the same facilities that we have in SA, not a lot of them will be going out there and looking for better opportunities.
But then tell me about the ambition of the league then. Is that maybe hurting them? Especially when you look at it, like, for example, there's people who can earn 500,000, 600 to $1 million and not be winning leagues, not be doing anything. Shouldn't then we ask the question, why then internally is it not competitive? Why aren't we seeing these guys? I can understand you turning down a thing to go overseas, but we're not creating guys who can even turn down. Why is the league then so less competitive with all these facilities and all of that?
Why do you mean when you say our league is less competitive? Sundowns prove that our league is very competitive.
Yeah, Sundowns is also number one. They've been gone for 5 weeks. They've been gone for 5 weeks and they're still number one.
Okay, sharp. You can say the Farmers League, but our league has quality and they can perform. They always perform like relatively well. They just lose by silly mistakes and immaturity. Even Chiefs, out of all the clubs, did quite well in the African League. So our league is competitive in that aspect. Ne? Sharp, domestically, Sundowns is a given, but also Sundowns is a team that can be beaten. Takes Galaxy and Pirate has proved that. So man, we have so much to be proud of our league, and also you're gonna speak to the league's ambition. The league's ambition is not for our players to go overseas. The league's ambition is to be on par with those top leagues. And quite honestly, there's a lot of things that goes against us, but we are not that far off behind. Whatever we need now, it's money. Equal amount of money, or actually we're actually in some aspect better than these other leagues in Europe.
Okay, no, I hear you. We'll see. Malome Kuto, sorry, Velile, Njan Put.
Hayi, ngifana nomama Joy mntakababa.
No mama. Ufana njani no mama Joy? Now utholele something yana.
Hayi, ngibona nje ukujabula kwakhe nje ujabulile.
Oh, ngithi maybe ukhona someone okhuluma isilungu kuphela lapho kuphethe kahle asazi.
Phela bengekho phesheya umama Joe ubuya phesheya ukubukela iWorld Cup kufanele ukuthi amathuba wathole. Nama-Saturday namathuba.
Hey, whenever you come on, tell me, we want to this thing that John Obi Mikel said, number one, and then number two, if it is true, Lento John Obi Mikel is saying, then why don't I perform me la then laba comfortable con?
Actually, I think there are different factors mntaka enza lento leyo to
Okay.
happen. One that I can deeply say support uButkumo la ukuthi our league is competitive. I think once uButkutso uke wayi-addressa ukuthi we always emphasize ukuthi eEurope ama-league akhona they are competitive, they are best, like the party I state ukuthi those ones they've got an opportunity to go and buy the best from all over the world and bring to one team. So if it's like that, surely izohluka because if you look at the Sundowns, iyakutshengisa because the Sundowns went out and buy maybe 5 or 6 of the best Mountebank. If you count Alende, you count Sirino, you count Ribeiro, Shalun, and they are expensive. You see with those guys like the best. Imagine if let's say we had that opportunity that with no limitation, it was only play 4 foreigners or 5. If we are allowed like those teams as Europe to play, whether we play full team with foreigners, it was allowed. It was going to be probably maybe in the level further now, but now we are forced by the situation. We also need to develop our soccer our homegrown talent at the South Africa. So competitive in that way. And also footy in terms of number most African players going overseas. We analyze the guys. Are they really going overseas? Majority of them, or are they born there? Because I can tell you most of the Western African players that are playing on it, they're not born in Ivory Coast or Cameroon or Senegal. They're born in France. The development is not done in Africa. It's done in Europe. So we are not fair when it comes to us, whereby if you look at us as South Africa, most of our players, like development, it's here. And also, if you have to put in all the artificial economy that was created here in South Africa by some of the soccer bosses who doesn't want to sell players overseas because they just price them abnormally. If you listen, Max Miles 38 million, but if how do you value a player like that? If now suddenly a player is 38 million, do you see sometimes the greenness also Yama owner? It also plays a part of which they can make it easier. Uchomo used to send players overseas now and then, where they're under Africa or South Africa, he used to sell them. I don't think it was much difficult because he once also stated that he also used this thing of saying there's a percentage that's going to be reserved in terms of like
The
after
salon
say
fee.
of that player he had to move. Yeah, sell-on fee. So it was easier, but now it's more about profit with some of the owners, of which we understand because some of them soccer is their primary business, so they have to maximize profit out of it, whether we like it or not. And also development now it plays a lot kakhulu because the previous system here, Ajax Cape Town, that was the reason Mount Apex. They've only discontinued that relationship after it didn't fulfill the reason why it was formed, because it was no longer sending players Europe, ikakhulukazi futhi ku-Ajax Amsterdam, because that was that's why kube lula for abosike ukuthi baye ku-Ajax direct from Ajax Cape Town, Stephen Pienaar, most of the it was easier for them because that was a conveyor belt that was just created from they put in money there, they've built them like beautiful facilities like in Kamvale, Cape Town, and everything was there, so that it could be easy for them just to transform to there. But in Kabanguti, on this one, we mustn't be hard on ourselves and not saying our players are not going. Our league is competitive. Most of the players that are playing there on the West Africa or some even like the North Africa, they were not born there. They were born in Europe. They've got that development from there. That's why if you look at the quality when it comes to us and them, in most cases, it's different.
Okay, I like that point. I like that point. It's a different way to look at it. Malume Kuto, welcome to the show. How are you?
How are you?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Tell me, what do you think about John Obi Mikel's comments? And also, is part of the problem that these players are not going overseas because they're older? And some of that road, man, to have to go play in Romania to get a chance to get into the EPL, maybe you don't want to do that at 27.
Complicated. And good evening to the overthinkers. Very complicated, Mr. OT. Firstly, you have to check with you who leaves and when do they leave, right? Added to what Uvedile said, there are also players born in France. Not born in France, but born in Africa, but who are shipped off to France at an early age. I remember growing up watching a documentary where FIFA was addressing issue, or they take these boys at the age of 15, take them for AMA trials. So agents scavenger around the country, take the boys at like 15, take them to France. And if you fail AMA trial, the agent disappears. So
Okay.
there was an issue here, Eddie street kid, Eddie West African kids who were street kids in France. Have a check it's because an agent saw talent in Africa, trialing, and when the boy failed, the agent disappeared. So what we have to understand on West Africa would be much closer, I think, to Europe than South Africa. South Africa is like the furthest point, I think, Africa. It's not as easy for these heartless agents to roam around in South Africa. Another thing, not to take a dim view on other countries, but some laws in South Africa would make it very difficult to exploit kids like that. So outside of football, that on its own does limit our chances, whether it's negative or positive. But from a positive perspective, with negative consequences, it does limit our players from going overseas. And then adult ngapha, like agent said, we have to relate football as well as connecting real life. You
Yeah.
know, once you start working, you are 21 there, you're getting 6,000. It's a lot. You're growing up. So it's normal in SA. That's why Liboba Vuma, they can settle for 5,000 for a long time. And they hit Boma 28. It's a different economy altogether. And for someone to suggest which these boys are comfortable, maybe they are comfortable. However, they're not realistic. We see these guys, the Nigerian guys, even the South African guys, when they go overseas, the payment is different there. Yeah, there it's not Verpa. It's Austin Martin Tonton. It's these funny looking cars. You can see which now this one is raking it in. This one is not playing around. So, in as much as we can say which you are comfortable, how many teams provide that comfort in SA? Cara, you play for Mallorca, you're living nice. You play for not the biggest team, but compared to the average South African, you're living nice. Bongani Zungu left here, played for a team that got relegated, and he was driving the biggest Benz I've ever seen. If South African players are comfortable because of resources, I don't know what resources we're talking about.
Is there an attitude, maybe? Maybe you can delve into attitude. I don't know. Is it maybe, like how, for example, I speak, like, for example, we're South African. We speak to, if you speak to a lot of South Africans from Kokasi or whatever, going overseas doesn't feel possible. I don't even think about it. Do you think that those type of things, those socio factors play into this?
I think besides the attitude, which it does play a part. And I remember when you made an analogy about traveling. Some people say it's very easy, but if you've never done it or if you've never seen anyone do it, you see that something very impossible or difficult to achieve. That I would concede to. However, there's something Uvedile mentioned, the development, guys. The development. I've seen Sterling atribula batho go under King Reserve side ya Liverpool. I've seen him. Uratomo was better, or is better than what Sterling was doing. But the development, a year later, what Sterling was doing for Liverpool senior team is way ahead of what Uratomo is doing. You understand? Development and understanding ukuthi iplane esuka la liya la ihlukile. We don't have that. I heard agent mention Utembazwane, which we spotted him very late. maybe that's the problem. Maybe you're not listening to the right people. Because Clive Parker, when this boy was 20, he said it's the best thing to ever happen to this country. I too laughed at him. I'm not going to pretend as if I was a disciple and I said, yes, Coach Clive. He said, this is the best thing that has ever happened to this country. Who reacted to him and maybe tried taking the boy overseas? He's now coaching us on Downs 34, celebrating body AFL. I'm not taking a dig. I'm really not taking a dig. But maybe if someone had listened to Clive Parker, he'd be celebrating the UEFA Champions League. And again, I'm not taking a dim view on the Africa, or maybe he would be leading us to the World Cup. I'm just being honest. There are bigger things out there. You understand? Maybe, just maybe. Maybe we're not listening to the right people. So I'm with Uvedi, the really issue at development, which we don't develop our players properly. So even if we can try and come up with other factors on the field, are they really doing it as they could or they should? Like I'm a Brazilian, since we boast about our flair, are they really effective as I'm a Brazilians out there? I don't think so far.
Okay, okay. Agent, I want to ask you the same question. Is it a social thing? Is it similar to that example I gave where you say traveling may be very easy for certain people, but then for some of us looking at traveling from the outside, you think, Jesus, it must be so hard that I make it priority number 47. I don't even think about it as one of my things. Does that play into why some of our players aren't going overseas?
True, to a certain extent, you know.
Okay.
I think to a certain extent, I think I'm gonna talk more of developmental players or players being in academies in Uqaqwa, in KwaZulu Natal, whatever it is, you know. The thing is, if you are in a community and no one has ever went to university, hey, it's an impossible task. You think that, hey man, we're children of Elasa God here, you know, until someone actually does it and say, man, that day is easy, man, you know. So I think for developmental players in rural areas, then we can say that's an impediment, you know.
Okay.
But for the ones in the city, they know players, they watch football, they know many players went abroad, you know. So I think for them, it'd be a matter of attitude than anything else, you know. And also another factor that I think Abuti Kucha is bringing is from how many kids, and I think to an extent, I don't know if it's really Okumo said it. It's easier when you're born there or when your parents work in Europe, you know, they can go with you there, you know. And again, also it's easier to Abuti Kucha's point that as a parent, if I see that my kid has potential, I can say, let me cough out my money and take my kid to trials in Wolves, you know. But how many parents like that exist? How many parents have that kind of money to say, I'm willing to lose maybe 3 million or 2 million in expenses to just go and check if my kid can make it in Wolves Academy? No? I think that one ties to the social part that you're trying to bring in, that maybe it's difficult again, you know, because Asians, if it's an Asian trying to bring a person abroad, he's looking for something. It's like, if I spend 3 million and it's not successful, how am I going to recoup that money? You know? So if it's a parent, I'm like, it's my kid after all, you know, I tried it and I can afford to lose 3 million, so it's okay, you know? So yeah, I think social factors are involved there.
Does it also play into the agents? Because I remember a story where Jomo Sono was trying to sell McFish in Italy, and he had to rope in Ivan Kaizer. You know what I mean? Is that also an issue that maybe some of the agents as well, you don't have those connections overseas, or you don't know how to broker those deals? You may not have an Ivan Kaizer to bring in. Does that also play into it? But also, I see Temba's one is 28, he's winning AFLs. Gumnandi Lape Sundowns. What if that's my idol? What if I see good time, man? I don't need to go elsewhere. There isn't necessarily anybody else that's really setting it alight out overseas.
Yeah, I think to your first question, it is true. You know, some agents are just fishes in a pond. Some are fishes in a river. You know, and then you have the big fishes which are swimming in the ocean. You know, so there is levels to this thing. And I think if I recall well, the argument that I made some time was, look at Obeyni. You know, Bain is not the best thing in South Africa. You know, how he got an opportunity to get interviewed by Ten Hag for that striker coach, you know, when there are many, imagine how big South Africa is. You're telling me there is no just one person who's better
Or how
than
big
Bain in
England is, or how
Yeah,
many
but-
people are in England, for example.
yeah, you know. So it goes with with agents that, you know what, if I know someone who knows someone who knows someone, it's easier, you know. So I think the agents also play a big role, you know. But then again, I think I was watching a show on that show. Of course, they don't pay you. Let me just say that show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That show where they interview ex-players, you know, and they were interviewing an agent. The thing is, no, a player. The thing with agents is the bigger the agent, the more detached they are from you, you know. So they don't necessarily take care of you personally. They're taking care of you as collective, you know. So sometimes as a player, you need more than an agent in your life. You need someone who's gonna advise you. You need someone who's gonna do this, do that for you, you know. And if you're part of a multi player agencies like what owned by many people, by those white guys from Paris coach, it's difficult. Yes, they're gonna give you opportunities, but the trade-off is he's not gonna give you specific attention. So there's a trade-off there, you know. So yeah, and then again to your last point, but Ozwani, it goes back to how we're socialized. You know, if I'm exposed to local football only, you know, if I'm exposed to SABC only or Motsweding FM, I'd only dream of Fozwani, you know. But if I have Dstv and I can have access to EPL, then I can dream of KDB, you know. So it goes back to your social question, the social impact of things. So yeah.
Kuma, same question to you. How much is the social and cultural aspect playing into this? On the one hand, maybe, I don't know what a Pagani Zonda is, man. I don't know what a Lamborghini is. Mara, golf 7, I know it, golf 8, I might want to stay here. So maybe I see Tembazwani and I'm like, he's doing it at a high level, Africa, he's close to what I know. How much does that play into it? And also things like agents. Maybe they don't have the connections overseas or the causes who can help them. How much do those things play into this?
My guy, it's a very good question. Like, remember, I'll make an example of our clubs. Né? My club has ambition to win the CAF and play in the FIFA Club World Cup, whereas a team from Nigeria just wants to win a cup. Core ambition, it depends on who you are. Wa tlhalohanya. So, and then again, I'm like a player that plays for the big three, even super sport to a certain extent, they are well paid. Even if you earn 100,000 take home in SA, it can make sure you stay in a nice lifestyle.
Very nice.
Yeah, like the quality of life here, it's relatively not expensive compared to other countries in the other world. Né? You can live a comfortable life. You're gonna be closer to your home, to your family, and you won't really experience racism and the pressure of playing in Europe as well. The weather is perfect. It's not cold because we know a lot of people that went overseas. They were complaining about cold and they were told that there are babies and they can't do anything. My guy, there's this other thing called your net worth is your network, right? So if I'm an agent, I see a young player because young players are quite savvy compared to our first generations, right? Obviously, a young player is exposed to Messi, even though they don't have DStv, but they've seen Messi play, they've seen Ronaldo play, and they also want to be there. So as an agent, because I want to make money, like we don't know the reason, okay, but the fundamental reason one becomes an agent is to make money of players, right? But you can't take a Kumo, a George. Yes, we might sound like we know what we're talking about, or we might know what we're talking about, but we don't know how to get access
Yes.
to Arsene Wenger and whoever. So our only thing we can do is make is only get you up to Sundowns if you're lucky. So that's also another factor that we have to consider as well. So also, having a law degree doesn't mean that you can be the best agent. You also need to go to those conferences, seminars in Europe, make friends. Even you can even start by something simple as a LinkedIn account. You follow those people, you follow those guys. That's how you're gonna generate connections for that player. And also when you promise someone I don't know, like if you want to be someone's agent, you can show them a clear vision. We're gonna take you development there, yeah, vets because it's one of the best or School of Excellence. Then you're gonna let you play in the PSL for Sundowns or even Super Sport. Once you are at 19, 20, then you can go play. Unfortunately, because we are in the top 50 rankings of FIFA, so you can't directly go to the EPL. Then we have to go to feeder leagues like your Belgiums, yeah, in League A. That's how they also should have that ambition to take a player abroad if that's what the player wants. So yeah.
Okay. Belile, how much of this is cultural? Sometimes kumnandi kasi man. Sometimes angifuni ukuphume kasi. Ngibona amachite ekhoneni kumnandi. Hey, bamnandi badriver what bagqoka boGucci. I'm not looking at being a CEO of a company. I don't care about those things. How much of these things are also cultural? Ukuthi maybe ama-player wethu they don't mind ukuhlala babona boThemba Zwane they're doing well. Nama-agent wethu nabo they don't know how to get that side. Zingena kuphi lezo zinto?
Yes, I can also say culture now it also contribute on that one because mangathi uyabheka the way our country, the way indlela ingakhona, and if you look at even the constitution and the laws also of the country, ngendlela engakhona, most of the South African born players, I'm still amazed how Utah uhlalele Egypt. Most of the South African born players they won't survive in the Arab countries or even in Middle East. Do you see like now Saudi Arabia is pumping out money? But I can bet to tell you most of the South African players they won't survive there. It's not only about Imali Pell.
Yeah.
So socially, Nakona, and culturally, the Arab countries, it's really difficult. And the laws how the religion also it plays a part. But also we mustn't be strict cool because some of the we have to be honest go here like currently now, especially let's take a player who are like older than 20 here. Some of the clubs here are paying well than most of the Scandinavian countries like Europe or wherever you can go. They're paying with the South African players now they are paid well. For example now, do you think khona team engamfuni uShalulile, like do you think uShalulile should still be playing here? If we have to if we have to be honest, that guy should have been gone long time ago, and I think he'll even been banging goals Europe left, right, and center. Now, if you're going to but to those teams, do they afford him? Of which no, because Umtsipa he means business. He values our player work and he values his club. That's why even now there's not a corporate sponsor Sundowns or any company that sponsors Sundowns. Umtsipe was remember the last time there were rumors of the CLC wants to come in after MTN, and I think they were putting in 100 million a year or whatever. And he just told them, "Say that my leg against the next. You are joking." So he's playing players well. And players they are comfortable. There's some players they just don't want to go to Europe. They are comfortable here. They are comfortable being here with their families or their wife. They don't see the reason why. Because at the end of the day, yes, we can say players must go to Europe, but if the money, as we told from Europe or any like foreign countries, it's lesser than here just for the sake of dlala phesheya, but I don't see the benefit. Because besides his salary, like it's a basic salary or a net salary, there's also other benefits that you negotiate on the contract there. You see, the needs that need to be taken by the club. But if the club is not prepared to take care of those needs, it also becomes a problem. And also, enye into engiyinotisile bese ngayinaki. What happened to that rule of 5 players under 23 on the second division? Does it still apply?
I think they got rid of it. I think they got rid of it.
So which means they were not purposefully by the time they introduced, because that rule, if it was still being applied, surely maybe our under 23s or soccer players should have been best, because if those players could get an opportunity to play each and every game. So it also put it into that conveyor belt, yet development of shipping players nakhona to Europe. But it's easier nakhona sometimes to sell them kuma development structures than kuma clubs, because the also kuma clubs the value vele iyakhula. But going back to your initial question, culturally yethu iyasishaya, because thina here in our country now uyazi kunjani. You know mawula eMzansi ukuthi ziyakhipha. But it's up to
Okay.
you. How are you so serious about your career? Uzimisele kanjani to play football? If you are, then you will succeed and also get the right offer, of which even the club bosses or the agent will get a good deal overseas. Then if it's a good deal, you take it. These things sometimes I'm player these things sometimes you tell the player that you get an opportunity to go and play, but those are two umuntu akakabi ready. You're ready nini? Because you can be on form like usaleng last season. This season you're off form, which
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
made it in last season at best, but then just go. But you decided to don't be ready. If you have performed for a season, there is a better offer coming out of where we are tired. You uzobona phambili mntakababa.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just a correction. I see in the comments they're saying that the rule still is there. Very still there. Rule
Isasekhona.
5. Isasekhona.
Much and should I maybe it's not implemented correctly. But fuck about babuye bashintshe apply immediately. It's not applied correctly in terms
Yeah.
of what are we still prepared to develop these players, because I can show you if it was implemented correctly, we would have more players.
Should have a conveyor belt right now.
By actually, if those players were sold from that, they were fully developed on that side. Because if development masibheka mntababa, previously it used to be advantageous for us because beyiqala from esikoleni. Most of the soccer players abaningi bodwa kubo Pirates, Chiefs, Moroka Swallows, nabo Jomo Cosmos, they were coming from schools, those guys.
Yeah.
Like there's some other time where it happened ekaSlami la eThembisa, they were like school bese ibizwa ngeNqayizivele. And I can tell you those soccer players, isikolo sonke esinqayizivele bebadlalela their own team elokishini, which was movers later converted to Colchester. Imagine those guys play together from school and also practice together in the afternoon as a team. And all that's why it produces abo players njengabo Senki Mhlatshwa, abo Lokhunjani, abo Calvin Sibeko, they were coming there, abo Tsetse Mahua, they were in that school. So do you see that development it produces a player kanjani? But now I don't even see soccer schools anymore. I don't know what happened to it, because it also used at least to be a feeder. Because if I'm more development, I can bet you now, Mr. Oti, if anyone okhona even nakupanel, they can even tell you, thatha intwana yakho manje uthi uyisa kumatrayeli lapho uzobona umhlolo wenzala kumatrayeli lapho kukhethwa abantu abaziwayo, not people who knows football or intwana ubona ukuthi ne-potential. Now uzothuka kuma-trials ayenzeka la, kuya kuthi wazi bani nani nani, but abantwana zazibhola azitholakali. And also the government neSAFA must also need to come to the party, because you cannot have
Labo.
but look mfowethu, bheka for example ama-province anjengabo Northern Cape, sometimes Eastern Cape yagcina ukuzama umthatha Bucks lo kuyakudala, because uchipa angithi uchipa bamrentile akusiwa lapha vele bamrentile, so he won't have the same purpose as like abo Stokopasiya kumthatha Bushbucks lena. Ama-province anjengabo Northwest, it's dry there, there's nothing happening in terms of academies and the development. eMpumalanga mine it's been neglected, indawo njengabo kwaNdebele abogama kafikile azinakwa. So the government, that's as a black government, you also need to be intentional also on what you are doing. If you can be intentional and say we want to develop like South African born soccer players, and also even also to export them to Europe and be a better players, then we can do that. But as long as isayibeke ebantwini to do this and do that, isazoshaka cool, because lapha now it only involves the commercial value kuphela. It's no longer about the development. Yeah.
Okay, Malama Kuto, I want to come to you with the same line of questioning. Look, I remember leaving Kokasikia University, and I had one way of looking at the world. I got to varsity, and as it opened my mind, I saw things, and I wonder sometimes, or if I never left at home, right? Not to say that it was worse or whatever, but if I never left home, what would my goals be? So do those cultural things play into this? Maybe yes, I see Messi on the TV. Yes, I see these guys on the TV, but the tangible thing for me is Utemba Zwane, for example, right? How much do those cultural things play into this, the mindset of players?
I difficult. It's to play or prepare. That's the recent thing. However, now what hit me when I got to varsity, right? Just to relate to what you just said, was the fact that people were drinking on campus. Like, what? You put it
Uh,
and it's fishy. And you're kids. You
uh,
understand? That part hit me. Scott, there are other things that players could develop if they had gone overseas and understand how to move. And I think what they could learn is from Upeni more than anything, which going overseas opens many other doors, many other doors, and not just during your playing career, but even post-playing career. You can easily get a call to which come and be assistant coach, Momo Man United. I understand something Dr. Kumalo would never get, not because he's a bad human being or a bad coach, but because he was never exposed to that kind of king country or whatever. Yeah, I understand. So it somewhat limits them, and it also closes their eyes to other opportunities. But like I said, Mr. Uti, I Zima for me. Yeah, I think I'm gonna rest it right here.
Okay, no stress, Bulubukusu, no stress. Theo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Oh, evening, Mr. Oti. Sorry, guys, for being late. Let me greet you in the panel, man. We are spanning. Sorry.
Ungawari. Tell me, I'm gonna ask you firstly. Jonobi Mikel made some comments that EPSL has basically kumnandi la EPSL. Tina in Nigeria and all these other countries, we need to go overseas in order to make ends meet. Meanwhile, here in the PSL, my facilities, imali konke, everything is fine. A lot of players don't need to go overseas. What do you think about those comments? Number one, and then number two, masikhuluma ngama-player wethu. Is part of the reason why they're not going overseas the fact that guys, maybe overseas mana ngicabangi njalo, maybe uThemba Zwane is my thing. I made the example imoto iLamborghini ngiyayibona i-TV mara i-Golf 8 yiyo that's close to me, for example, and maybe I don't think about those things. Do those cultural things come into this? So those two questions.
Yeah, let me greet you, Mr. Oti, the panel, the guys on the comment section. First and foremost, let me quote the Bible scripture. Diversity, where there's no vision, people perish. Therefore, is the sad part about South African players, or as a fraternity or as a country, we have developed a mindset that where we are, we happy, and we have developed a mindset that has made us think where we are happy, what we have, is what we should maintain. Whereas, first of all, there are guys who have came here, like Kabonelech Musona. Sona came to South Africa, struggled, hit his form, left South Africa, went abroad. Now he's in Saudi Arabia making money. So I don't think it's mostly about money, as I think Aputu Velile said. It's not. I don't think it's mostly about money as well. Also, what is said to Obi is very important. Obi Mikel Uguti, we are living in a time whereby in South Africa, in Africa, is economically we are on a high. Our league is paying high. So those things or those factors, there's no way they cannot come to play. But also, I will ask you a simple question. When did you last heard or seen Tsepo Masilela? When did you last heard or seen Quintin Fortune? Even Inari? I can count a lot of those guys that impacted abroad, overseas, but you know, you grow up, Bugabo Teko, Bugabo Shabalala, you know, and you hear what they got an opportunity to go abroad, but they declined because management, you know, most the sabotage which is Sundowns, even Nompela at one point, they sabotaged him, couldn't go abroad. So you look at all of those factors, you then sit down now as a person and you ask yourself, Kuti, if nangabe you wanna make it or you wanna go abroad or you wanna have an impact in impilo yako, yabo, you look at Penny McCarthy, guys. I think as Ukutso just said now, he's a very big example. That guy, Khalil Nzanti, was Spurs, Ajax, and then he went abroad, never
The
looked back.
7 stars.
The only South African player that has a Champions League. So if nangabe there's not even a single player here in Nzanti who wakes up and say, "Yo, I wish to play man as Nabo Mbappe abroad, not in a country I mean like in a team yabo, or in a format team," then I think we have a lot to work out. And also, you look at Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, those guys, they don't watch their own original. Amanababugi, domestic leagues in most cases.
Yeah.
That's why in Nigeria they fan about Chelsea. You grow up loving those teams. You grow up idolizing those players who are playing there. About Drogba, I don't think Drogba grew up saying, "I want to play in my country." No, those guys, they idolize those foreign teams. And see, because we have made our league to become like an idol of a way. And you like Mbexele, Uchabupule, guys. I think Chabupule is the perfect example. This guy is a star in South Africa, goes abroad. The first week he plays, the second week he disappears, doesn't come to training. First of all, does that mean the country that he was in, Nagnaman Tomazan? Does that mean the country was in Nagnachwala? No. It's simply because when he got there, he didn't receive the same fame or a celebrity lifestyle or mindset that he had here. So he said, you know what, Nyobile Kaya, Magangene Tavern, yeah, Chabo, Yas Villamus, Imagine destroying your career over just those kind of things. So you look at those things, I think there are many things that play any big factor. But what he said, Obi, is very painful. It's very painful. You know, we have every infrastructure, we have every material or tool that can prepare a player and present him abroad at a young age, and that player isn't but because of we have created a mindset and a lifestyle, and then the culture is very, very essential. You look at Abo Zungu. Zungu didn't want to come back. He was forced to come back. You look at Pesitao, didn't want to come back. He was forced to come back. So if our players can develop those mindsets, if they can develop that mindset now, I think in the coming few years we'll produce a lot of stars going abroad. Another thing, you have Uban Lumpane Sundowns, who went to MLS. You know, I forgot his name. Mailula, yes. Instead of us trying to support the boy, to say, "Not to work hard, try to get his starting lineup, the push and understand," we are here saying he made a bad decision. He was not supposed to go there. He was supposed to wait. Wait till when Azabin at 30, and then now he wants to go abroad. No, let him go there. Let him fight for a position here, Kele. And then when he plays, then we must clap hands and say, okay, a lot of guys can learn from that. Like having to play with Messi, it does not boost his mindset or his playing capabilities. So if we do not take that into accountability, then obviously we're not gonna go anywhere. And it's very sad to see we are having Bexel Tabi win the AFL. Man, guys, those people who came from overseas, they don't go to other countries, they just came here. You understand? We are the first country to win the World Cup. The question is, why were there not players then who were taken from the World Cup? It shows the World Cup to people who have no desire to go abroad. People who don't care about abroad. Had we sent but for them to get that taste, it would have made it different. So there are many elements, but money, I think, is the least of them. You know, no vision. Lifestyle to very affect a young kid to foot more than anything.
Okay. Let me go to Kuma. Kuma, I'm going to ask you straight up. Why do our players keep coming back? Why do our players struggle that side? I know there's some success stories we've had, but I would totally have come back. Abu Parker, there's been a lot of them that have come back, seemingly not even just for playing issues.
My bro, Europe is a whole different animal, that side. One, we know some lower leagues are very racist. Two, the money is great, but also the tax implications is greater. Well, one, quality of life is not the same here as in Europe. And also, I'm gonna use this example, which I didn't want to use.
Okay.
You imagine, you are not maybe idolized as much as you are here in SA. One, it's also another factor. One, so also if you go to Saudi Arabia or the Arab nations, the religion is very strict. The laws are very strict, you know. Although now, because the world was watching them, especially Qatar, they can be a bit lenient. But you know, you can't do as you like. You can't ride those fast cars. You can't drink in public. You can't live with a woman if you aren't married to them. There's a lot of things, and happy mental health, it can also play a factor. I don't want to say they're lazy, because no player goes overseas with the intention of coming back.
Yeah.
A lot of we can say they're mentally strong, but we don't know the full story, because they won't read the full story. We don't know these people personally. It's a lot of factors. It can also be that reason, but also there's something that can go against them as well. Because you know, people, as much as they say they love Africans, we know no one loves us really. So when you're here amongst your own people, you feel safe, you enjoy football, your head is in the right space, and you can sacrifice and say, 50K, it's fine, it's a lot of money, I can survive, I can do tons with it. Ashifa we were able to buy the Aston Martin. So the supercars are still go Europe over, although it's 1 in a million. Yeah.
So then, doesn't that go to something, a mentality? Because isn't that part of the job, man? Isn't that part of going overseas? You will be uncomfortable. You will go through all of these different things. You know, isn't it part of each job? Or is it just money? As in, we love our comfort so much that we're not willing to take on some of that uncomfort, not being comfortable, in order to become bigger.
Let me tell you, I wanna in SA, if you are a player and you aren't playing well, the worst the fans could do to you, going to is throw things at you at the stadium or boo you. But they will never take you to a point where like you don't want to play football anymore. Look at players like your Sakas, your Jadon Sancho, especially Rashford. That guy, he's a phenomenal role model for everyone, and everyone actually. He even got some recognition from the lead queen, right? That guy is a good player, but he was racially abused, and he's an English player. So imagine being a black player from Africa.
But isn't it part of it? Saka has to go through that to be world class. I'm not saying that, like, in a perfect world, it shouldn't be. But Saka has to go through that in order to be the best in the world. Rashford goes through that in order to be Man United strikers. I'm not saying it's good, but isn't that part of the challenge of it all?
No. I wonder if you're gonna have an opinion. Have an opinion about my football abilities, not the color of my skin. How come isn't the brain is one of the best in the world, but no one is racially abusing him? Why do black players have to be racially abused to prove that they're strong? No,
look, I'm not saying that it proves that they're strong, but if I want to play for Real Madrid, I have to move to Spain. You get what I mean? Unfortunately, if I want to play for Juventus, I have to go to Italy. You know, if I want to go to the top leagues in the world, quote unquote, part of it is that. It shouldn't. Is it a thing that hinders our players from becoming the best that they can be?
Yes. When you look at the 2 weeks back when Kaizer Chiefs players were playing under lockdown with no fans. Didn't they play some form of exciting football? And we saw what happened when they played in the Toto Derby. Back to
but it's the job. It's the job. You play for Kaizer Chiefs. It's job.
But I'm trying to make you an example. Those are normal player conditions. You hate me for my abilities. I'm not running fast enough for you. I don't know how to pepper ball. That's normal stuff. Now, if you're gonna bring in my lineage, my kids, or my skin color, that's a whole new thing, bro. That's super abusive. That's lethal for some other people. So now you've got people that that are under that kind of pressure every day. So when they have to trap or pass a ball, they make mistakes. People are throwing bananas at them. So why would you stay in a place where no one wants you? Rather come back. You make a mistake, they call you a plumber, and you move on. It's what they say every day, Mus.
No, here, Kumo. Velile, same question. Why are they coming back, man? Hey, they keep coming back, and it doesn't seem like it's for play reasons. And Kuma has also outlined some stuff. What do you think, man, is causing them to come back?
Hey, mntaka kunzima ukuba yi-foreigner. Ukuba yi-foreigner kunzima because you have to work extra hard than people abakulelo zwe. As much as like we even see it here in South Africa. You see our foreigners, even nasebholeni lethu, when they're in the field, some of them, they try and work extra hard as compared to South African players because they know good their situation is not the same. Then people won't be so lenient kubo as much as they might be lenient to a South African player. As some will say, why abantu they don't complain if Uloch make a mistake, but to Kim videos and then they are complaining. Yes, again. And then you cannot even compare Abo Saka, Nabo Bandguas, and those guys that are born there. Abo Rashford, they're born there. They've probably attended Abo Oxford School there. When they about Kulumale, abo Ashford, abo Vusutembe kwayo bangale. So you cannot compare them nabo Makashule Gano, abo Malema. So they'll nje kanjalo. But also because that's what factors ayenzayo lapha. Remember ukuthi ingale Europe, especially England. Sometimes you can move there directly, but you need to adapt to ibhola lakhona quickly. And if you don't adapt it to so quickly, you're immediately shipped out because you're a foreigner. There are teams abane policy yokuthi a foreigner cannot sit on a bench. You cannot. They cannot import you and sit on a bench. That's why players like Abotao, they just ship them immediately. Obviously, Belgium just to try and see what you can cope there. And he did manage to cope at Belgium. It's just that nakhona singasho naye ufambule and make that mistake yokuthi abuyele ngapha futhi ku-Brighton, of which mangathi uyayibheka vele i-Brighton uTawu, you can watch i-Brighton manje now. uTawu angeke afithe laphayana. I can bet my last money he cannot fit there. But at least mhlambe if kube uzame ukuya mhlambe kubo Crystal Palace, then lapha on that team I think he would have fitted. It's
Well,
difficult
to,
to get
to be fair, bafire ucoach lo amsayinile.
Yes. But manje unenkinga yesikhathi mawusayina ucoach unenkinga yokuthi if makahamba-ke nawe uzoba nenkinga. But if uthengiwe wafitha ine-team structure, hayi kudanda ucoach kuphela. But makuthi no coach, yes kuyakusayina and thing but makufika omunye uyabona ukuthi hayi cha let ayihambisani. Even masingathi siyayibheka vele lo khona le team leyana angeke azafithe nhlobo laphayana. But I can bet ukuthi mhlambe uPercy Tau ku-Arsenal beyangafitha. Because the type of play of soccer that they play in that team accommodate kancane yona. But also kokunye ama-injuries they can delay you because sometimes if uyafika ube nebhadi ulimale and then you take time to recover, already your space is gone. But also futhi sikhumbule ukuthi amanye ama-player wethu amaningi bona kukhostwa nayindaba sama-call up lapho, especially by that time tota i-African Cup idlala in January. And if you see Europe January, it's like mid-season. Teams are performing, and then you're gonna come back and play African Cup of Nations for full 2 months. We are not there. And then we can blame our coach who didn't want African. There's like a president in Napoli because before we got straight, he doesn't want an African good team yake because my destabilized and they just get called now and then. Job is Kale mini event abonjabulo plumber for next buya for the World Cup qualifier back in. So it's one of those things that on racism also it plays part. It's difficult. Look at in Napoli. Esimen is their best player, but look at what they are doing to him. But I bet you, if it was right player, we cannot do that to your best player. And even like on the official Twitter account or like on the official teams, like you cannot do that to any human being. But it's just because Vera is from Africa, they just do that to him. That's what I'm just saying. Because this card here to be a foreigner,
yeah. But then I wanted to ask you that, isn't then that's and I know it's gonna sound weird, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm condoning anything here, but isn't that the difference between Osimhen and, I don't know, one of the South African players? Isn't it that, yes, he's going through that, for sure, it's the worst thing to go through, but he also knows that, Yazin, a top goal scorer for Napoli, I could go to Real Madrid, I could go to Man City, I could go elsewhere where my career will get better. Whereas you'll find with a lot of South African players, it gets tough. And I'm not going to say it's easy. I don't even want to judge them. Nah? Yeah. But they come back home. You get what I mean? Whereas they made it that side and they're like, hey guys, Mina, I want a Champions League medal. You know, I want to play for the biggest teams in the world. I want to be better. I don't know any of those things. They push through. Is that something that we should speak about with South Africans?
No, but that's why if I have to go back to my initial point, uesimeni or mhlawumbe abo-Drogba or mhlawumbe abobani, mostly I can tell you 90% they don't need to come back because they were never there. They've never played in Ivory Coast. They've never played in Cameroon. They've never played in Nigeria. They were like shipped there. Some of them, they were just born there because their parents, they are there. They develop there. When they are there, they're like homeborn. Akufane South African uBernard Parker usuka na 25 England or ayodlala ibhola then bayisituation masenzile yena uyakhona ukubuya ekhaya because he knows ukuthi ekhaya bangafika Kaizer Chiefs I can even still earn 500,000 rand or 200,000 rand and twena ama-bonus ku-Sundowns I can earn 600,000 and yabo situation that's fine. Those players like 90% there is nowhere to go. You have to stick it up there because the situation in Africa it's bad. West Africa, it's bad. The country about Drogba, they've never played Ivory Coast. But
then why singababoni baze PSL then? Why singababoni but you know what, Jasmine? Yeah, I'm gonna go to Sundowns. I'm gonna sign for Sundowns. I'm gonna make all the money I'm gonna make. I'm gonna be in a place where they love me, facilities, what.
No, Bona, they're lucky there because remember, most of them they've carried like dual citizenships. So it's easy for them to move to any country. They can go in any country in Europe like easy as compared to South African. South Africa, Sibula, in most cases, the football sports is for black people. And the black people in South Africa, usukunenhlanhla mawuzophatha i-dual citizenship uyizamile umkotsho uyizamile ngathi yamhlula thi amaqosha ushakes I don't know ukuthi waphumelela yase-Netherlands uzoba nzima you cannot. You only have one passport, South African passport. The only option for you is to come home. Ayikho akunalapho uzoyakhona. So bona they've got options because they've dual citizenship. They were born there. Some of them they were there when they are 10 years young and they've developed there, they've schooled there, they've got baqala ukujona laphayana bona makuthiwa i-social life bayazibona yalaphayana while South African uBenny or uParker or uDoli uyabuya siyamazi la enotresek ukhona uyazi la uthi ama-second usayiphusha evakaleni yazi ukuthi hayi usekhaya nala futhi akunankinga futhi ujabulile uyathandwa uyayibona into njani.
Okay.
Akangidedela abanye mntu abawakhona bangena hayi inyama.
No ngiyayivala manje ngizoyivala. Theo.
Okay bafowethu.
Theo, what was the initial question? Why are they coming back? Why do we see a lot of our South African players coming back? Abanye bathi they are homesick. Abanye, like, why do they come back and is it maybe that we're letting them off the hook? Good time, man. Why? I know it's tough that side. Why don't you stick it out and see it to the end?
Ama-return soldier ngithi sibatreat-a njengama-return soldier, inkinga yethi lapho. Udoli goes abroad, he plays there, he fails, he comes back, iChiefs izomreward nge-1.3 million. Zungu goes abroad, he fails, he comes back, Sundowns rewards him with a big paycheck. Mina, to be honest with you, I think the player that I think made a very big mistake, Pesitao. Pesitao was not supposed to come back to Africa. Pesitao was not supposed to listen to Pete. So that was the biggest mistake that he made. He was supposed to stick it up there. Praitini, they could have moved him around, guys. If you remember in the Bagapinar, Everton, Tottenham, but Doxala, we ended up seeing him at Everton scoring a goal against Man United, and we were like, wow. He came back, he retired. You understand? He never played here. Now, here's the question that I want to ask. If a player, and another thing that I want us to look at this thing, let's look at it at a different angle. Do you think you can take Ox, Abu Zwane, and put them and say play against the Man City or Man United? Do you think they can compete?
Well, not now, but if
Vela.
Yeah, boy. Come on, they can't. I know OT. As the said partner, we are trying so hard to say we have quality players, guys. The standard is low in South Africa. Let's be honest.
That's why I said maybe. I said maybe because I'm like, if Thembazwane got a chance to play, like Dihashwe, for example. I think if he got that chance to go overseas and go train with these players and play that side a bit earlier, I think he would have done something. Because I could ask you the same question about Ulal Foster. Ulal Foster, no one was looking for Ulal Foster in South Africa. Let's be honest. No one even cared about him. Now you know. So I don't know if it's maybe a chance thing, you know. Mara. Anyway, no, carry on.
But another thing that we must not overlook, guys, is standard said, like the level of the standard that we have in South Africa, guys, is shameful. We need to be honest. I can ask you a question, like which player right now has played 3 seasons in a row and has been the best player in the league? Even in the past 20 years, you can't count me one player. Every season, they are best. Every season, you look at them, you're like, yo, like 3 games, you know, he's gonna do something incredible. So my question is, if you have a player from abroad, when he comes back, there's one thing that you expect is to do what Benny did. Benny comes back as a return soldier, he terrorized the PSL. You understand? Even some of us be like, oh, Benny should go back abroad. You look at that, you say, wow, this is proper quality. And another thing that I want to add, our players, they don't have a heart, Mr. OT. They don't have a heart for football. Abanye bakhona, you know, like Mbexele Njongozungu, Uzungu gained weight. Do you think he worked hard to lose that weight? No. He was saying in his skill, Mina, you know, I'm coming from South Africa, I'm blind in Mina. But you get there, guys, those things, they matter. Do you think which one is computer no Ronaldo dlala, Ronaldo ndo yamboni potus la kelinjani? Messi grew up playing bola every day, you know. You cannot come and say computer na bomba pe abakitima ngathi bayahlanya la khanda. When on a weekend we are puza Mbappe kitchen, we So you tell me, when those players come back, my question is, why are we rewarding them in the first place? Yeah, but is a big problem.
That's why I was asking the question, Guti. Are we letting them off the hook? Because I understand culture and all of that stuff, but part of me feels as though I'm a player way too. They know Guti Koni option gu PSL. Like they know Guti, it's not gonna work out here. Maybe training is too hard. Maybe there's racism. Maybe maybe I have to take 25 steps instead of the 10. And they look home and they go, yes, I could go home. 800,000 every week. Yes, even if Sundowns gets rid of me, Cocoon is gonna sign me same time. Is it
Number
maybe
10.
that, Leon Doguti, maybe they're a bit comfortable. Maybe Lento Kulma Uton Obi Mikel goes into this because they go, hi man, I can still play on TV every day, PSL. Yeah, the Chiefs on the Maling, star. I don't have to win anything. Is that part of it, man? Guti, we're letting them off the hook.
Blind kakhulu and Kumo man, I don't understand why. Okay, ngiyazi Santawana Kumo, when did last time Bazwane won man of the match? When did last time Bazwane created any goal or 3 games in a row creating goals? When did last time Bazwane scored a goal? Guys, those things they matter. You cannot come to me and tell me upesita, blind, nanani. Let's go to Egypt now. Is it dominating the league? He's coming abroad. Is he dominating the league? Is he saying, I'm coming abroad? Is there a sign written that he shows he comes abroad? You cannot tell me that. So we cannot then come and say, no, those guys are good enough. Or those guys, when they come back as stars. No, guys. They are stars like it's Ngoba Vele, like it's Badalam Nandi. But when you compare them, the talent, when you compare them with the skill, the mindset, the desire, the hunger, they are non-existent. That's why I'm saying, for them to come back, and for us to even say we go up blind, it's actually a raw thing. Utoli should not even be. Utoli was not even supposed to be playing for Chiefs. I can count you many players that came back who were not even. That's why those are the same players that blocked my channels for youngsters. You understand? When they come back, Utoli go number 10 Chiefs. Shabala, if he wants that number. Already that player, that mindset already. I am an understudy. That already it's demotivation for him because if this guy failed, how can I make it? If you push that guy, grow these youngsters, like Mbek said in our Kaizer racism, guys, we can never compete, man. We cannot be busy talking about racism. Vinicius Junior right now is always being a victim, but look at his games. We cannot, guys, we cannot be hiding behind these things anymore. Apartheid, we can't be hiding behind these things. They are coming back because exactly what you said, Mr. Uti. They are comfortable. They know when I come back to South Africa, I'll still be a star. They know when I come back from South Africa, I will still come back and be a player of the season in South Africa while in that are not even competing. So that on its own should show us equality to guys is very low. The standard that we think we have is only because of economic status and also certain players that we're hungry enough to go abroad and come back as heroes that we're not even recognizing today. But if we can be honest with ourselves, guys, even you're honest, you can't tell me Gutabo Michael Essien, Bobo Drogba, for Miguel, for them to start every game, Chelsea, Party, there are many stars that we can count from those teams, good Chelsea at that time, but they were starting every game, putting their hand out. You take, that's what I'm saying, you take a player like Mzansi, Ulfaga Lapa, he makes one mistake, I promise you will never recover. But those guys, they kept on making mistakes. They kept on pushing, working hard. So, my thing is, we are rewarding them, saying, you are a hero for failing. Here's 1.3 million. Here's your number 10 shirt. That on its own is a wrong mentality. Yeah, we are killing youngsters with that mentality alone.
Okay. Okay, let me see at the time. I'm going to allow you guys closing statements. Kumo, closing statement? Very quickly.
I see you contradicting yourself. I agree you were saying here where Europe has a better quality, they are much more developed. Obviously, when people who, like from SA who played in Europe, teams are gonna fight for them, hoping to get that experience that they gain go Europe. But that's not rewarding them. It's buying their experience and their skill set that they've gained abroad. So the other thing, but you speak as if like these other West African teams had only stars. What about the ones that also fell off the radar? In fact, for Bona, they can't go back onto it and play for a Yimba. That is why Yimba it does nothing because their league is swag. Their best team getting Yimba, and you know how it plays. So we shouldn't be saying such things and say, hey, racism, it's nothing. Sure, Vinicius Lenonyoko via Mara, the pressure of playing for the biggest team in the world is there. And the fact
but is it the ambition as well?
Bruh, I mean, like you already top there. You top there. Only if Dolly and and Tau, if they didn't play for Barcelona or Real Madrid, were they gonna come back and be number 10 for Chiefs? Come on. Lena was gonna stack it up. That was gonna stack it up, eh? So sharp. The great thing about PSL, it's not marketed abroad for everyone to fall in love and get more money. Ne? Maybe I'll give you that much. Mara wa ligi mnati. And no, we're not blaming apartheid and racism. Racism is not supposed to be there. And for you to come and say it's not something that we should get used to, it's a mess. It's a mess. And if you leave and come here because of that, then it's fine. Okay. Good. Thanks for the show, Maga.
Theo, closing statements.
Lona uhlala sicolonizer lo for no reason.
Can you say, Luna? You too, eh, Mara?
I wanna the day we stop treating our players like children, then they will man up. You know, for us to be busy, you know, babying, like we have been babysitting them for the longest time. For us to be busy calling them stars, if they can go to Bafana and not perform, that on its own should serve as a red flag. You can never tell me go to Neymar, you know, being the player that he was. Neymar, even if Ngatu Nemubiela in Brazil, he will still be a hero. He can play and go and play Bo Santos, he will still be a hero. Now, why? Because he went abroad and he put the flag up high. You understand? You know, we want to give a player a status because we're saying we know him to be the best. But the question is, can he still be compared with other best players in his position, in his standard? You understand? And another thing, I can make an example of Ronaldinho, guys. Ronaldinho gained weight. He moved from Madrid to AC Milan. He's pre-played. He moved around and then he disappeared off the radar. But we still know the real Ronaldinho. But right now, we are busy pampering our players, saying no, they are not being given enough chance. That's a wrong mindset, guys. It's a wrong mindset. Quality skill alone is not enough. Have a heart for football. Love it and work your ass off to make sure you put yourself up there. So what I want to say, Mr. Otsi, siyazi ukuthi nama player right now that are very young, very young stars. If a player at the age of 19 is a ball boy, 1.3 million, that should tell you how poor our football structure is. You cannot tell me, like last week, they said to Messi, broke it to Barcelona at the age of 16. Mbappe, I can count these youngsters. If Tina, we are holding those players back, then there's nothing they can do. That's why we will never have a Penny ever again. Because very liquids of Amnan, Ukutsu Asho, Ukumo Man Asho, but still they won't go anywhere. Yeah, but then we'll complain and say, coach development is suffer. Can't even Guatina support us. We are holding them back as well. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Otsi.
Okay, no, thank you so much, Theo, for joining me. Thank you to the panel. Look, my thoughts about this thing are very simple. I think there's a lot of factors that go into why these players don't go overseas. One of the factors could be that they're found late. So by the time you're asking me to go acclimatize somewhere else, it's very tough because I'm older, you know, I may have families, I may have other ties, I may have different things. It may be harder for me to learn another language when I'm older, all of that stuff. That counts, right? Those things count. My worry is that when our South African players go overseas, I don't think the struggles that they face are different to the struggles that maybe other West African players that come from West Africa that go that side face is different, you know. Abo Sadio Mane jumped around Europe before he landed at Liverpool, you know, and then from then on, you know his story. Abu Salah were rejected by Chelsea, had to be sent somewhere else, brought back in later on, or brought to Liverpool later on to forge their path. I don't think it's that much different. I just think that, as John Obi Mikel has been saying here, and in the words that he said, the PSL is the place where I can give you a soft landing. And when you have a soft landing, guys, when you have a soft landing, sometimes you look at those things that are very tough and you go, guys, I can go home whenever I want, right? Maybe I don't need to go and do this. Maybe I don't need to go out there. My only issue with that is not even the fact that they're coming back. My issue is, what type of players are we getting when they come back? So fine, don't have the ambition to go overseas, don't have the cultural issues that make you not see overseas as an option. Don't have any of that stuff, but in the league play. But now we get guys who come back and they're overweight, some of them, and they know, as overweight as I am, I'm going to play. Penny, as good as Penny was, guys, he should never have seen a starting lineup of the Pirates if we were at a certain quality level. Yes, I know Penny comes in with his Champions League medals and all of that. Utoli, when he signed for Kaizer Chiefs and what he's done for Kaizer Chiefs since, he shouldn't have been at Kaizer Chiefs. You could argue Zungu maybe, but all these different things play into this. So it's fine. Don't go overseas then, but come back home and perform. Come back home and score 30 goals then. Show us. You know, Penny, fine. I said about him being big. Penny came back and he won a treble. He was a key player. You can't fault him, right? But then these other guys, you can tell that it's for comfort. It's for comfort. It's for, Wunzime Europe. It's a long road for me to get to where I want to get to. You know what? I have a soft landing. What Obi Mikel is saying is true for them. As what other people have said, Abukumo, everybody said, guys, I can't go back to Nigeria. Nigeria is not going to give me a nice salary. It's not going to give me the structure. It's not going to give me infrastructure. It's not going to give me a comfortable place to land. Our players know that if everything goes wrong, Chiefs will jump at the chance at signing me. Pirates will jump at the chance. Sundowns will jump at the chance of signing me. I will get a big salary. I will be a star wherever I go, right? So I think sometimes we need to analyze those type of things. I also think that if you send them over when they're 16, 17, there's a reason why Abo Penny worked. Penny spent, 2 seasons here, left when he was 17. Abo Steven Pinaros, Abo Quinton Fortune left very early. So it's easier for them to adapt that side and it's easier for them to be planted that side. So on the other hand, if you're going to hold these players back here, and as Theo said, he's 19, he's won all these men of the matches, got DDC, but keep all boy at 19. That means that by the time he gets his chance, he'll be 23, 24. By the time we want to send him overseas, he's 25. Now you face the other problems. Is Bafana good enough for that player to go to a big team first track at that age? 1. Number 2, he's lived life here in SA. He's lived life. He's been a star, man. Every week. Cool. 1. He's lived life. He's got a wife. He's got kids. He's got all the stuff. Now you want to make me go jump around Europe when I'm 25. These things play a hand in all of this. These are all things that play into this. I don't think it's hard to go overseas. If anything, Lau Foster has shown us that, guys, it's really, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's not as difficult as we make it out to be. But the issue is that you go overseas and then you come back, and then overseas they look at you and they go, guys, I'm not going to sign anyone. You can probably see from the times when Abo Khatebe were there, Abo Payne, Abo's Banban, there was probably a lot of people who were looking at South Africa. But nowadays, it's just problems, man. You sign them. Abo Old John came there, played 1 game, then disappeared. Abo Tso played a little bit, came back. Abo Pule. You know, there's also all of those things to contend with. But for me, let's not let the players off the hook. You know, I feel the same about the players as I feel about the clubs. You can't just live and be here and not have anything. Kaizer Chiefs is very comfortable being a very big club that's not winning anything that's local to the PSL, right? For example, I'll use the club example, right? That's being comfortable. Because when you have to go out into Africa, there's resources, there's risks, there's losses, there's all that stuff that you have to take. But it's comfortable in the PSL because they know that we can make as much money as we can make here. Same with the players. They know, good guys. Mina, I may not be making 500,000 a week like Benny was making, but I'm making 400,000 here in this club where I don't even have to do anything. Why must I go look elsewhere? So it's also an attitude problem, I believe. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. There was a second topic, but I saw that this one was a little bit juicy. We'll deal with the fans topic tomorrow. There were some things said by Upo Wimtau that I want to liken to our fans, and I want to speak about our fan culture in South Africa. So please join me. If you have not followed, please follow. If you want to watch any of the previous episodes back, we've had some incredible conversations. They are available on Facebook and on YouTube in full. So if you could do me the favor of following on TikTok, following the Facebook page, subscribing on YouTube. If you want to be part of the WhatsApp group that we have, Abo Theo, Abo Agent, Abo Kuto, are part of a WhatsApp group. They are contributing members. We speak about football all day there. Just 20 Rand a month gets you into the WhatsApp group. And you also get to contribute towards this show. So thank you guys so much for joining me. Like I said, Monday to Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon. Monday to Wednesday, I am here. We have these types of conversations. We have better conversations. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 12:30.